Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and over the last few weeks we've been hosting even more 5v5 1v1 duels on the channel with the community, while getting to see the very best that every single class has to offer within Season 3 PvP. And with the patch 10.5 approaching right around the corner, the update is going to introduce additional in-game activities, but it doesn't make too many additional class changes, which means that the current meta for Season 3 has been mostly solidified. Which means that if you've ever wanted to explore other playstyles or play ults within PvP, now is a pretty good time to start getting them ready. In this video, I'm going to highlight some of the scariest classes that we've seen so far for the current season within our 5v5 1v1 duels, focusing on playstyles that could perform well in group activities such as 2s, 3s, and even solo shuffle arenas. Not only can these playstyles do well in group content, but they also could perform fairly well solo, especially if your goal is to eviscerate the enemy player within a handful of seconds with some of the best bursts imaginable. But right before that, most of you guys watching these kind of PvP updates are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell if you're watching these videos anyway, especially if you want to get more regular content regarding retail or classic World of Warcraft updates. The first class I want to highlight would be mages, which have found themselves to be fairly strong so far within Season 3. Out of all three specs, however, Frost is especially terrifying to play against, since that is the spec that emphasizes the most control out of the mage class, since a lot of the Frost magic and abilities are tinged with natural slowing properties. This makes the process of closing the gap against a mage or trying to find some cover behind a pillar away from the mage's damage much more difficult. When it comes to PvP, Frost mages have access to a natural affinity when it comes to burst damage, thanks to the primary shatter mechanic. As long as your targets are treated as frozen, your abilities simply become far more effective. And achieving the frozen status is incredibly easy, as long as you're able to root your targets in place with freezes, or simply hit them with a flurry for the frozen debuff. However, if Frost mages are able to completely isolate a singular target, they can turn him into a literal block of ice with the ability of Snowdrift, which will slowly build up a slowing debuff that eventually encases the enemy in ice. While Snowdrift is not nearly as good as the original Deep Freeze ability, it does the job all the same, stunning the enemy in place while treating them as frozen for the purpose of shatter. You can unleash a flurry of Frost Mage abilities to quickly handle your target within seconds, with most of these talents and abilities further empowered by your mastery as well as from other talented bonuses. All in all, great control combined with fantastic burst capabilities can make Frost Mages kind of a nightmare to deal with in Season 3. Another class that easily makes this list is the Subtlety Rogue, which is currently the deadliest rogue spec among the rogue kind. Subtlety in particular are the renowned Lords of Crowd Control, capable of shutting down entire enemy teams single-handedly, even deadlier when placed in a 1-on-1 situation with their next victim. And isolating their specific targets on their own is much easier for Subtlety than any other spec in the game, as it can do so with abilities such as Smoke Bomb to create cover from enemies outside of its radius, or you can simply escape with your target into the void with a shadowy duel, where they can simply snatch another player into the darkness for a few seconds. Subtlety rogues currently have some of the best burst in the game amongst melee classes, but combined with a great control similar to Frost Mages, that's what really makes them much more difficult to counter. However, on top of all that, Subtlety's survivability kit with the double vanish charges as well as cooldown reduction is impeccable, which makes it very difficult for the enemy teams to punish rogues or force them on the defensive. And this type of defense allows them to get super aggressive and a lot more constantly than some of the other classes in the game. And seeing Subtlety rogues go out for the full-on aggression is one of the most unhinged forms of damage output that I've ever seen in the game. Another class spec that has been surprisingly strong so far in Season 3 has been the Elemental Shaman, which are generally renowned for high amount of sustained damage, with the Lava Burst as well as Flame, Earth, and Frost Shocks. However, over the last few expansions, Elemental Shamans have also been able to develop a reputation for having some of the best spell combinations in the game, which can be quite intense with totems such as Sky Fury if left unchecked. The recent tier set for Elemental Shamans encourages a Lava Burst playstyle, but it also allows you to use the ability of Elemental Blast to create some of the stronger combinations. Using Elemental Blast, even with a tier set, allows you to gain the benefit of Surge of Power, which synergizes well with Lightning Bolts to become super potent. When you combine Sky Fury into the mix, this allows you to fire off multiple lightning bolts all at once. Then we have abilities such as Ice Fury, which allows your Frost Shocks to be more effective, but together with the talent of Electrified Shocks, this allows them to further amplify their nature damage. What makes this burst combination even more potent is once you get the prep work done, the vast majority of abilities sent as part of the combo are all instant casts, which makes it much more difficult to counter, which allows them to do things like take a tier set that heavily leans into sustained lava damage and turn it into an explosive lightning bolt combo. On top of it, elemental shamans are generally tanky when it comes to PvP content, with rather fantastic personal healing tools, as well as great control from things like the Root Totem, Thunderstorm, elemental knockbacks, the Lasso Stun, as well as Burrow for the defensive as well as utility options, but also good group utility as well, as they bring things like the Grounding Totem, Static Field Totem, and Tremor Totem for perfect team play. Another class that can be easily put into the list will be the Demon Hunter, which have been able to continue to reign supreme since the launch of Season 3, after the most recent rework. Out of all the other class specs on this list, Demon Hunters have some of the better sustained damage in the game, but also some of the better burst damage output as well. Similar to elemental shamans, they also rely on ability burst combos, which all have a relatively short cooldown in order to create a hit and run type of playstyle, where they're able to swoop in onto the target and lock him down with stuns, go through their burst combination, and then retreat back for some immediate safety, with fantastic mobility as well as anti-control capabilities, which makes it much more difficult to pin a Demon Hunter down. Like rogues, Demon Hunters also have some great team-wide control tools and can lock down entire enemy teams in between the hit-run combos if the enemies are closely stacked together. And while at first it may not seem that way, Demon Hunters are also very survivable, even all on their own, though survivability is one of the more difficult things for most Demon Hunters to master. The last monstrous class on this list will be the Windwalker Monk, and what really has helped upgrade him into this list has been some of the numerous buffs after buffs after buffs that they have been able to gain over the last few weeks in Season 3. And currently, as it stands, Windwalker Monks have some of the best spread pressure that can impact entire enemy teams if they're stacked closely together, since a good portion of their more powerful abilities have a natural cleave capability to it. And compared to the other classes on this list, Windwalkers have some of the most unmatched single target bursts within PvP. And achieving that kind of damage is possible through several damage modifiers, which does mean that there's a little bit of a setup involved. Everything from Serenity to deal additional damage to enemy targets while removing the cheat costs from all of your abilities, as well as Strike of the Windlord and the Thunder Fist talent to help discharge additional nature damage against your targets. The Feline Harmony also causes your foes to take additional damage, while talents like Skyreach will allow you to gain more chances to gain critical strikes against your enemies. But what also helps out Windwalker Monks is the newly buffed version of their Blackout Kick tier set, which allows them to gain empowered versions of Blackout Kick, and using Rising Sun Kick into the empowered Blackout Kick, then back into Rising Sun Kick resets inside of Serenity windows is where a lot of that damage burst combo comes from. Compared to all the other classes mentioned in this list, Windwalkers do need a bit of a setup before they can really unleash a lot of the burst potential, but they can easily single-handedly win your games, as long as they're given some opportunity. This means that Windwalker Monks will have to rely on some team coordination to truly shine, but when they do, they're absolutely monstrous. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.